Welcome back, guys, at Chills and Thrills. Before starting, make sure to subscribe and like the video. In January 2015, a group of film students from New Zealand were filming outside their school at the Paranormal railway station in Auckland. The footage you're about to see was captured by a student named Chris. For a few minutes, Chris and his friends were casually filming and having fun. But things took a strange turn when they spotted a man and woman wearing eerie white masks. The couple was hiding in the tall grass near the station, staring at the camera with an unsettling gaze. Initially, Chris and his friends thought the masked pair were just pranksters from their school trying to spook them, which is why you can hear them laughing in the footage. However, the students later admitted that the laughter was more out of nervousness and that they were actually quite frightened during the encounter. What made it even more disturbing was that, after reviewing the footage, the group realized that one of the masked figures appeared to be holding a gun.
Where's the other one? Where's the other one? I don't see him.
As the couple got closer, the students began to feel increasingly uneasy, prompting them to quickly run toward the main road. Shortly after, they saw a police helicopter approaching the area. It remains unclear who called the authorities, but my research suggests that this wasn't the first time the couple had been seen harassing the public. Just earlier that week, they had frightened a woman at Auckland's Domain Park, but fled before the police could apprehend them. When the police arrived at the train station, Chris and his friends gave their report. The Auckland Police Department later posted a message on Facebook, urging the suspects to come forward and warning the public to avoid them. The police also advised that anyone who saw an individual carrying what seemed to be a weapon should assume it was real, as there was no way to tell for sure, and law enforcement would approach the situation as if the weapon were real. In the following days, the suspects reportedly contacted the authorities. Despite the investigation, police kept many details private, including the identities of the individuals involved, whether their weapons were real, and their intentions. However, it became clear that this was not just a harmless prank. When some online users accused the students of staging the event for attention, a school spokesperson clarified that the masked figures had no connection to the institution. A police spokesperson later confirmed that the weapons were fake, though I couldn't find official confirmation. And to this day, much about the suspects remains unknown, including their motivations. One thing's certain, Chris and his friends were fortunate to escape before things escalated further. At the base of Mount Fuji in Japan lies a forest known to locals as the Sea of Trees. Interestingly, the entire forest grew out of a 30 square kilometer patch of hardened lava from the last major eruption of Mount Fuji. However, over the years, the Sea of Trees has become infamous as a place where people go to end their lives. And if you venture far enough into the forest, it's not uncommon to come across a body near the entrance. A sign written in Japanese quietly reads, "Think once more about your parents, siblings, and children. Please don't suffer alone." In July 2017, urban explorer and YouTuber Burbax ventured into the forest to see what he'd find, walking his viewers through his entire journey into the Sea of Trees. Though the video starts out relatively calm, just a few minutes into his exploration, Burbax comes across an abandoned bike, and that's when things take a more unsettling turn.
I'm only a few meters away from the road right now, but I've already found an abandoned bike. It's actually a pretty nice bike. Let's take a look at it. I don't think it's been here a long time. What do we got in here? And there's a packet for a knife. I think I've just found some kind of note in a bag. It says 1211. I can't quite make out. I think this is somebody's name just here, and I'm not sure what this means.
Burbax discovers an empty piece of packaging for a kitchen knife. A few minutes further into the forest, he comes across a note written on a plastic bag. The note translates to 1211, Verified Fuji Yoshida Police Station verified, suggesting it's evidence of someone who had abandoned their belongings before taking their own life in the forest, confirmed by the local police station. It's haunting to think about how many lives have been lost in that forest over the years, and even more disturbing that any random passerby could easily come across a body while exploring the terrain. In response, the Japanese government has implemented several measures, such as placing security cameras near the entrance to track those who enter, and training volunteers to speak with visitors who may be considering suicide. Despite these efforts, however, the tragedy continues, and the media's sensationalization of the forest in recent years has only added to the problem. In early 2023, a man named David Meredith was taking his usual evening stroll through his neighborhood in Red Deer, Canada, when he suddenly spotted a bull moose eating next to a tree. Hoping to get a better glimpse, he hid behind the tree to watch. That's when the moose turned around and started charging at him. To understand how dangerous this situation was, keep in mind that an adult male moose can run faster than 35 miles per hour, almost twice as fast as the maximum speed of an average human male. Though moose aren't typically aggressive, they can easily trample and kill a human if they feel threatened, which is likely what happened here. Fearing for his life, David quickly hoisted himself up the tree next to him to avoid getting stabbed by the moose's antlers.
He just ran me up a tree.
As soon as he was out of the moose's reach, he started recording. For about 30 seconds, the moose just stared at David, and you can hear the uploader's nervous breathing as he waits for the moose to leave. But shortly after, the moose started charging back and forth with its head down, a clear sign of stress, and it seemed ready to trample David if he came down or fell from the tree. According to what David told a news station during an interview a couple of days later, he stayed in the tree for over 10 minutes, waiting for the moose to leave. When asked how he climbed the tree, he demonstrated how he pulled himself up using a flimsy-looking branch, which is honestly one of the most concerning parts of the entire situation. If that branch had broken, David would have been at the mercy of a very angry moose and might not have lived to tell the tale. Luckily, after realizing David wasn't coming down, the moose finally gave up and ran off, allowing the uploader to descend safely. After waiting it out for about another half hour, David was finally able to resume his walk. In February 2018, a man named Greg Harris uploaded a GoPro video of himself riding his ATV on an unnamed trail. For the first few seconds, the footage shows exactly what you would expect from this kind of upload. But in the blink of an eye, something extremely disturbing interrupts Greg's ride. If you didn't catch it, someone had set up a metal wire between two trees, which got caught in the uploader's helmet and forced him to stop. It's chilling to think that if Greg hadn't been so lucky, he could have been decapitated by the wire. Fortunately, as mentioned in the video description, his speed and the wire hitting his helmet instead of his neck caused it to break as he passed through. It might seem shocking that anyone would even think of doing something as incredibly evil as setting up a lethal booby trap in the middle of an ATV trail. Sadly though, it's actually pretty common in the dirt bike and ATV community. Sometimes, these wires are set up by people trying to keep bikers off their property. Others are set up by individuals who get irritated by the noise and decide to use violence to solve the problem. And some are set up by people who are simply disturbed and want to bring harm to others for no reason. In this case, it's impossible to tell who was responsible for the trap. This is one of those videos where, if the wire had been set up just slightly lower, the accident could have easily been fatal. Luckily, Greg was able to walk away with minimal injuries, and he used his video to warn others to be cautious of these kinds of traps. In the summer of 2014, a man named Chris was biking in the mountains near Fernie, British Columbia, when he suddenly noticed what seemed to be an animal approaching him through the tall grass. As he looked closer, he realized it was a mountain lion, and that's when he started recording.
I don't know if
if you can see it, but there's a mountain lion. He's crouching in the grass. He's actually coming towards me.
I don't know if you can see it, but there's a mountain lion. He's crouching in the grass. He's actually coming toward me. At first, it's hard to make out exactly where the animal is. You can see it emerge from the grass and start coming closer.
That is a mountain lion. And he's stalking me.
Even though mountain lion sightings are rare, they have been known to attack in certain situations. And if you see one stalking you in the tall grass, slowly approaching and staring you down, you can be pretty certain you're in danger. About 2 minutes into the footage, the lion starts walking faster, and Chris does the one thing you should never do with a mountain lion: turns his back and starts running.
Hey, Mr. Mountain Lion. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. I am much bigger than you.
Over the next few minutes, Chris tries to get the animal to go away, but it only circles around him and continues to stalk him, staring him down from the tall grass near the entrance to the woods. A couple of minutes later, Chris manages to take a few steps toward the main trail back to his car, but he doesn't get far before the mountain lion cuts him off again.
Stay back. Stay there. I'm not afraid of you.
Fortunately, after a few tense moments, the mountain lion turns around and disappears into the trees. Being in a situation like that has to be absolutely terrifying, especially when you consider that the only reason the lion didn't attack was because it didn't want to. Had it felt more threatened, it easily could have caused serious harm. Thankfully, it was just a close call, and Chris was able to walk away unharmed from the terrifying encounter.